There were some things that we had to overcome as a family growing up. My dad did used to be like a sort of an alcoholic. He was abusive. And later that day when I got home from school, Child Protective Services was already at my house. And my dad was just getting home from work. And sure enough, the police took him into custody. And I did not see my dad for maybe a year. I don't know how many months. Yeah, I got him imprisoned. I did have a good childhood, but there were some things that we had to overcome as a family growing up. My dad did used to be like a sort of an alcoholic. He was abusive, and I would get hit as well. I remember one time I don't remember who it was, if it was my mom or my dad, but I remember my aunt came over, or she rang the doorbell, and around that time we were in my room and my mom was wiping off my nose because it was just so bloody, and she was like, oh my gosh, your aunt's here, let me just, and I think my dad had just finished hitting her and hitting me, and so my mom had a big old beat up lip and whatever, and so that kind of went on for a little bit. And this is where it gets all messed up. I remember when I was in elementary school, I went to school one day and we had reading around a table with the teacher when we were little. And the teacher went, Monica, you can read next. And she grabbed my arm and I was like, ow. And the teacher saw, and she saw that I had bruises all over my arm. And she said, how did that happen? And I told her, oh, I fell off my bicycle. And she did not buy it. And later that day when I got home from school, Child Protective Services was already at my house. And my dad was just getting home from work. And sure enough, the police took him into custody. And I did not see my dad for maybe a year. I don't know how many months. Yeah, I got him imprisoned because he ended up hitting me. And that was not okay. And so that's a memory, a core memory that I remember growing up, and it kind of sucked, but that kind of opened up my dad's eyes too, and had him realize that that's not the life that he wants to live, and that's not how he wants to be seen by his kids, and that's not how he wants to be. That's the product of what he saw growing up.
So someone has a question, Kate. Oh shoot! I have a question. If you could ask her, many children's bruises go unnoticed. In her case, when the father was taken out of the home, did her family treat her differently or blame her at all? And did her father come back into the home afterwards?
Yeah. So I felt really guilty, and my mom would cry a lot, and she would even feel guilty, but I never felt how do I explain it? I felt some guilt. I felt I probably could have hit it better. I probably, if I would have done this better, this wouldn't have happened. But I think it's something that had to happen. My dad never really knew the precautions of what his abuse was doing. And my mom would just take it because she loved him. And that really did a reality check for him. Although I wish that he didn't have to go through that, he did have to go through that. He did rehabilitation. He learned what I don't know what exactly they do in the rehab, but I'm sure they probably told him oh, this is not a good thing that you're doing in your household. I know he got anger management. So that really helped him out, and to this day, he has not touched any of us. He has not done anything like that of the sort. Besides that, he's too grumpy and old. But once I would visit him every single chance that I got because I just felt so guilty and I just wanted my daddy back home, and I loved my daddy no matter what. Even if he had hit me, I felt I probably deserved it, but my mom would tell me no, it's not your fault, oh, your daddy's okay, don't worry, your daddy will be back. And my dad never showed any resentment to me. He would be behind the bars or behind the glass, and he would just be I love you, I'll see you soon, take care of your mom, don't be sad, don't cry, you know, it's okay, it's not your fault. And because he knew what he did. And, you know, I'm glad that he grew from that and that he owned up to his mistakes and that he saw that. And once he got out, yes, he did come back. But by that time, he wanted to start fresh, and I think that's why we did the big move. He wanted to get out of that space. He wanted to have, you know, their own house because they lived in a property owned by my grandfather. And so they thought that a lot of their problems would get better once they were doing their own thing and they were, you know, their own family and could live the way that they wanted to. And with my dad's new knowledge and new way of being, they started again. But yeah, the reimmersion back into having him back into my family, it was pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie, my mom was like a little worried because she didn't know how he would react or what, because she was used to him for a long time, getting like that. But my dad completely, he proved to her that like he didn't want to be like that anymore. He like stopped drinking. He stopped drinking. And wow. The reason why he stopped drinking was because that was also giving my mom PTSD. She thought that she had to deal with that because, like I said, like my grandmother would get really abusive and would hit her. And so she thought that she had to take it because she loved him and she had kids. And in Mexico, there's like no really divorcing. You have kids and you stay with your husband no matter what. So they've really stuck it out and they've really been through a lot of stuff. And but if the father, if he shows great change and that his kids are important and that, you know, that's not something that he wants to be or show, or he doesn't want them to grow up with, then it shouldn't be too hard to like get back into your normal life cycle. One step at a time, and like it's gonna take some trust, but you know, you can do it, I would say.
Huge. Great question. Dang it. I'm kind of speechless here. Okay, so